My name is Todd Jakopovic, T-O-D-D. My last name is spelled J-A-K-O-P-O-V-I-C.
So you just keep looking at it. Sometimes I'm going to be like this,
okay.
neurotically. Okay, so where do you live, and have you always lived here?
I live in Elkhorn, Nebraska, and I've lived here for the last about 20 years. Previously, I grew up in Papillion, Nebraska, which is a town around about 15 miles from here. Moved to Des Moines, Iowa for just a few years for business, and then moved back. Knew we wanted to be in Elkhorn, and so we've been in Elkhorn ever since.
So what would you miss most if you had to leave Elkhorn tomorrow?
The feel of community. If I had to leave Elkhorn tomorrow, I would miss the feel of the community. I would miss the relationships and friendships that we've made over the course of time.
So how do you earn your living, your livelihood? What do you do?
For my livelihood, I run youth sports programs in the Elkhorn community, and I've done that since 2004. And today we have several programs that are some of the largest in the Midwest.
When you say some of the, what scale are you working on? Like a scale of tournaments and stuff you do?
Yeah, so our youth basketball program, as an example, we have a boys and a girls program. Our boys program this last year was around 90 teams, which made it the single largest youth boys program in the Midwest. Our girls program was another 31 teams, which made it the single largest girls program in the Midwest. And in addition to having our teams, which play in leagues and tournaments, we put on basketball camps, skills clinics, and then we run tournaments. We ran a total of 10 tournaments last year. And of the tournaments that we ran, they were some of the largest in the country.
Can you kill that light? And I don't know if it's turning that thing still.
The wind is turning it, I
Okay,
think, at this
point. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Actually, turn it back on for a second. We'll keep it. Thank you. That was just an experiment. All right, so in 2 words or less, how would you describe your 2020? And then why did you choose those 1 to 2 words?
The 2 words that I would use to describe 2020 would be not good. And the reason would be the obvious. We started off with great expectations, 2020, that's perfect vision, right? And so in our minds, we thought 2020 was going to be a fantastic year for us. And once the COVID virus came to be, it really changed the environment and everything that we do, and of course, everyone else as well.
So describe the moment that COVID-19 became real to you, and then what was going on with you kind of emotionally while that was happening?
COVID-19 became real to me in kind of a unique way. I was running a basketball tournament in Fremont, Nebraska, which is a town about 25 miles from Elkhorn. It was our first year running this tournament. We had around 160 teams come to town for the tournament, as far away as Sioux Falls in South Dakota, Grand Island, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska. And the first night of the tournament, as we were getting set up, we heard on the radio that the first case of COVID had been detected in Nebraska. A lady had checked herself into one of the hospitals in Omaha. And I thought to myself, well, here it comes. Sometime here in the next few weeks, this is going to be real, not understanding what that meant. The first night of our tournament went wonderfully. We had a lot of positive energy. The next morning I woke up, got a call from the people that were providing the gyms in Fremont, and they said, did you hear about the coronavirus case in Omaha? And I said, I did. And they said, well, the young lady played in a basketball tournament in our facilities last week. And as a result, we don't know what that means, but the word is going to be out. The governor is going to make an announcement at 11 o'clock this morning, and he's going to mention our facilities. And when he does, people are going to know. And I knew right away that I didn't understand. It took me some time, probably a good hour, to really just soak it all in and think to myself, what does this mean? And I thought to myself at first, well, it's still a ways away. It was just one case. And as I started to educate myself and talking with some medical professionals that I knew, and understanding how the virus spread, I thought to myself, well, this isn't good. I followed up with a phone call up to Fremont, and we decided at that time we needed to cancel the tournament. We needed to send everyone home and just shut everything down. And that was really our first exposure to it, and so it hit us pretty hard.
So, aside from dealing with all the logistics and all, what was going through you kind of emotionally? How were you feeling at that moment?
Emotionally, when we had to make the decision to shut down our tournament, it was kind of gut-wrenching, but at the same time, we knew that we were doing it for the right reasons. We immediately started talking as a group about what our focus is, what's important to us and why we do what we do. And we went right back to, this is about kids, and this is about safety, and this is about providing experience. And so when we put all our ducks in a row and we put all our priorities out there in front of us, we knew that we had made the best decision. So even though it was a very difficult, gut-wrenching decision, we did it comfortably, knowing that it was the right thing to do.
So, how did your daily life change at first when the pandemic was announced, and what was going on with that as you were emotionally dealing with that?
We were when the pandemic was announced, we were at our busiest point of the year. We had another tournament coming up the following weekend. We had basketball tryouts that we were right in the middle of, and the following weekend, when we had our last tournament, we also had basketball tryouts scheduled for roughly around 400 kids. And so at the same time, we were doing registrations for spring flag football. Those registrations were wrapping up, and so we had a lot of stuff going on. So when it hit us pretty hard. It came to a screeching halt. We went from operating up here for a long period of time to all of a sudden the brakes went on, and we said, what do we do now?
So, have you noticed any changes in habits and routines in your personal life that you've adopted because of the pandemic?
The habits and routines that we've adopted as a result of the pandemic probably go to what we, as a business, said, what can we do to continue to drive our message? What can we do to continue to help kids to be involved in things? They're stuck at home now. So we really started taking advantage of social media. We looked at it as an opportunity for us to get crisper and better, training our new employees, making sure that they understood the business, the depths of the business, and things that maybe we wouldn't have had time to do otherwise. And we started really doing a lot on the social media side of things to get in front of kids with drills and daily skills and contests for a chance for them to win gift cards, things that they could do on their own in their driveway, and they could report back to us by email or by commenting on our social media. And then we did weekly drawings. So we did a lot of that type of stuff, just trying to make sure that we're staying in front of the kids and giving them opportunity to still be involved in things.
So any of the changes you made in your life because of the pandemic, do you plan on keeping those changes in your life if we get back to a sense of normal?
Yeah, the changes that we've made as a result of COVID-19, I believe that for the most part we will keep in place. So much of it is dictated based off of what our governor says we're allowed to do, what the CDC says that we're allowed to do, and then what just common sense tells us that we should do. So just being smart and making sure that we are doing things in the best interest of the kids. So I would say that we will keep doing a lot of those things, but at the same time, we're going to be reactive to what we're allowed to do.
So how do you feel about your daily life now that we're 100 days into this?
Now that we're 100 days into this, and how do I feel about my daily life? I feel confident and I feel good that we'll figure our way through this. As a company, we're secure and we're going to be around for a long time. So our focus is still what can we do to be better at what we do. So I feel comfortable, and I think that we'll get through this. I've taken a lot of pride myself, as driven as youth sports is in society today. You have it really controls a lot of people's lives outside of just going to work and providing for their family. it's the rat race. What happens when you get off work? You're running this kid to practice here and that kid to practice there, and this game and that game. And as bad as this pandemic is, I've looked at it from a positive standpoint, in that I see kids walking their dogs regularly and kids out with the family, people at the park and small, they're with their family in small groups. And I enjoy the fact that I know that families are sitting down and having dinner together, and that they're getting to know one another, maybe on a different level or scale outside of youth sports. So even though that's our livelihood and that's how we survive, at the same time, there's so many positive things that are going to happen as a result of this to the family units. So that makes me really happy.
So what's been the biggest challenge for you throughout the pandemic so far?
The biggest challenge is for us personally, or
whichever you want to answer.
Okay. Personally, the biggest challenge is just figuring out what the next thing to do would be. Making sure that we're keeping our employees busy, and that we're being productive. Professionally, our challenges have just been, again, just making sure that we're getting in front of people, and that we're making sure that they know that we're out there.
So how does it compare to any other big challenge you've been through?
This pandemic and how it compares to any other challenge that we've been through, there's just really no way to put it into words. We've been through, I'm 52 years old, and I've been through a lot of things in life in this country and in this world, but there's nothing that I can put into terms. And Y2K, I remember, was a big scare, but this was the real scare. I mean, this really happened, so no matter how prepared you were for this, there was just no way to understand the gravity of how deep it was and how it was going to affect everybody. And so we're all figuring it out together as we go.
How do you think your daily life will feel like 2 years from now?
I believe that in 2 years from now, our daily lives will feel like they did before. I'm confident that there will be a vaccine, or that there will be some immunity in place, so that we can get back to larger crowds, and we can get back to people just interacting and socializing the way that they used to. And I feel really, really good about the future.
And the challenges that you see with your business, but also in your community, what excites you most about solving them? What excites us the most about solving the problems in our personal lives or community is just getting back to activity. And we've had so much downtime that I think that when things open back up the way we believe they will, that people are going to have so much positive energy, and people are going to be so ready to go. I think that our community, and I think that us people personally, will achieve more than they ever have before. In the last few weeks, in addition to the pandemic, we've had this whole thing come from the George Floyd incident, and then kind of this groundswell, all 50 states kind of coming out to voice their thoughts. What was your reaction to the George Floyd incident? And then what has been kind of your observations in reaction to how you've seen everyone else reacting to it?
My reaction to the George Floyd incident was, obviously I saw the same videotape that everyone else did, and I looked as deep as I could, because I'm somebody that believes that you have to look at all sides of any issue from every angle and make sure that you have all the information before you make an assessment. And obviously there was a police officer, or maybe more, that did, went overboard and created a pretty bad situation. And as a result, it, led to protests and led to riots and looting and all of those types of things, and which is unfortunate. Hopefully helps our country to heal, and hopefully it helps our country long term to get to a point where everybody feels more comfortable addressing those issues. And at the same time, it makes everybody sit back and think a little bit about their situation, how they can improve those situations. We didn't protest or riot or any of those things. That's not who we are. But at the same time, we understood what they were trying to accomplish by doing that.
What 1 to 2 words would you use to describe how you feel about the next 5 years?
The 1 to 2 words that I would use to describe how I feel about the next 5 years would be very optimistic. And the reason I would choose those words is because I believe that as America is known as a country that knows how to fight and innovate and overcome, and I believe that this will be no different. And as we've hit our low with this pandemic, and I believe strongly that when we come out of this, that we're going to be stronger and better than we've ever been.
Is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't yet?
A question that you should have asked me that you haven't asked me. I really don't know how to answer that. I would say that you asked me a lot of COVID questions, so I don't know if I was completely prepared for all of the COVID questions, because I'm not an expert. I run youth sports programs, but at the same time, I understand how they intertwine. And so, any questions you should have asked me, guys?
Press agents over here. All right. If not, we'll go on. Yeah, I mean, this is really all those mental models are really. It's more about what is everyone else's perceptions who aren't experts, who aren't doctors, just to understand how people are processing.
Yeah.
So, I should also say I'm not expecting you to be an expert. Just be you.
Yeah.
All right. So then this is my last one. So
okay.
This is going to be on the internet. People from around wherever the world, the country, are going to find it today and in the future, right?
Okay.
What message would you want to share with them? What message would you convey to them?
The message I'd want to share with people all over would be that we've hit our low, and from here, everything is looking forward. I mean, we have a bright future ahead of us as our economy recovers, as medicine figures out how to battle this vaccine, as people start to become more confident getting back to their normal lives, and finding out that as they do, they're still safe. And as we overcome all of this, and I think the family unit's going to be stronger than ever because of this. I think it's done great things to bring families together, mend relationships among siblings, parents, etc. And I think that financially, there's going to be good things ahead for all of us as well. So I just feel really confident that we haven't seen our best days yet, and they're not very far away.
Excellent. Thank you.